We are back, and I've seen Captain America Brave New World, and I have to say, it was fun. I wouldn't say this is the best Marvel movie ever made. I don't even think it's trying to be the best Marvel movie. I think it just put out some really solid work. Mackie did a great job as Captain America. I think one of the things that I appreciated in this film, and it's been one of my gripes when it comes to Captain America now that Sam Wilson has taken the shield, is he doesn't have any superpowers. He doesn't have a super soldier serum, but they kind of explain, which is something that they didn't really explain in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We know that his suit is made by Wakanda, and so it does a lot of the characteristics that Black Panther's suit. When you punch at him and he kind of folds his wings over himself, it absorbs the energy of a punch and builds and builds and builds and builds till he can put out like an EMP and blow everything out of the water that's around him. And there was an explanation about Kevlar, the way it was woven or something like that. And, it's like they're explaining the tech, which makes him more like a Tony Stark, where he's a human and he can fight, but in the end, he needs all the gear. There was some really cool jokes. I'll do some spoilers in this. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, I'll give you a couple of seconds here before I start. 1, 2, 3, 4. He even makes a comical joke about, I should have taken that super soldier serum when he's fighting Red Hulk, because Red Hulk is just handing him his butt. Every time the Red Hulk hits him, his energy absorbs and absorbs. So if you can imagine how the Red Hulk is so strong and just punches, does all the things that the Hulk does with rage, and his suit is absorbing it all, which is helping him fight the Red Hulk. I just thought that was great. Harrison Ford I think it looks like Harrison Ford had a fun time making this movie. You can tell he had a lot of humor in it, but it was subtle humor. He had heart in it because it kind of tied back in. Liv Tyler is in the film for a very, very brief moment. The whole root of the movie is a father-daughter thing. It's so weird because it almost feels like this was two movies. It feels like it was a Hulk film, but it also feels like it's a Captain America film, or it almost feels like a Hulk movie with Captain America added to it. So it's kind of like, and you could tell, there were like 6 writers in the credits. So it looks like there's a lot of fingers in the batter when it comes to the storyline. Danny Ramirez, I enjoyed him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I'm so glad he's now the Falcon. I liked him in Top Gun Maverick. I really like this actor, and he brought a very Batman and Robin dynamic duo flavor when it came to Captain America and Falcon. So I can't wait to see what they do with these guys next, if as a pair. But if anything, they can join the Avengers, Secret Wars type stuff. Shira Haas was in this. She was a nice little touch in the film. She was one of the like ballerina people, the ones that the Russians, the spies that was like Black Widow and all that stuff. She was good. Very tiny though. I mean, she must be like 4'8" or something. She's just like a really tiny person. Carl Lumbly, which is back. He played Isaiah Bradley, which was that super soldier, and it was great because this is a very espionage kind of, like, there's all sorts of twists and turns. It felt more like a spy thriller than it did a big time Marvel movie. The bad guy, Tim Blake Nelson, it was like the real baddie, but then you also had Giancarlo Esposito, who is fantastic in anything he does. But, it's almost a bait and switch with the bad guy. You didn't know who the bad guy was till you knew who the bad guy was. And then when that was exposed, you were like, oh, this is getting heavy. A lot of other really good actors. I thought Zosha Rockamore, I think I said her name right. Oh my God, if I butchered that. I'm sorry, but she played Leela Taylor. She was like an Secret Service that protected Harrison Ford's character as the President of the United States. And General Ross, it was crazy to see his how he evolved throughout all the movies, being played by William Hurt, and then Harrison Ford taking it over, and how they tied him into everything. It was pretty cool. I mean, it you know, again, the writing, they crammed so much into this movie. There were scenes where it just seemed like they were explaining what was going on through the dialogue. It was just like spoon feeding, exposition, exposition, action sequence, exposition, exposition, action sequence, exposition, exposition, action sequence. It was pretty crazy. A pleasant surprise was the character of Sergeant Peumu. As I'm watching the movie, I see a friend of mine, Alan. He was the first assistant director on a BET movie that I worked on. I don't want to give away any of his character in it because he did a really great job. He was in a bunch of scenes. And anyway, I would text him as soon as I got out of the movie. I didn't know you were in this, you know, and we just had a blast texting each other. But yeah, so pretty cool stuff. Alan's been an actor for years. He's been in tons of stuff. I'll put a link to his IMDb reel in the subject line of this video so that you can click on it and check out all the movies and TV shows that he's been in, and then you'll know to look for him in the movie. But it was really cool. He's a super awesome guy. He's so smart, so professional, and he's good at what he does, and he's a damn good actor. So it was really nice to see somebody in the film that I know and I've worked with. And so anyway, congratulations to him. And one of the comments I said is, I hope this movie makes a ton of money, because I hope the residual checks are really good. But yeah, so I'm thinking maybe this movie will settle around 70 million opening weekend. Who knows? You know, it could have some long legs. We'll see. It's February. There's not a lot of big releases going on right now, so I really hope it does well for Marvel. It's probably going to top out around 400 million maybe. I feel like this is one of those like phase one type films that don't necessarily make a ton of money, but it makes just enough to make everybody happy. It had a budget of $185 million, so it needs to make at least $400 million to break even. And then of course you got marketing on top of that. But I never really count marketing like people do, because marketing is a 100% write-off in the United States. So, you know, if a company invests $100 million marketing a movie, they do that on purpose, because not only do they want to get the word out, but also they're trying to get to a zero tax liability. So they want to write off as much as they can. So if you've got a couple $100 million laying around and you're trying to get to zero tax liability, and you're Disney and you're Marvel Studios and you're trying not to pay any taxes. So yeah, I don't think anyone should ever count marketing when it comes to a spend, because it's a complete write-off. The movie was shot in Atlanta, Georgia, so they had a 35% tax credit, and a lot of the visual effects were done in Canada, so that has a 40% tax credit. So, you know, it offsets a lot of that $185 million budget. So I think people, they don't understand how movies are financed and how movies are made, so they have a tendency to put these big numbers out there and think it has a big hill to climb, but it really doesn't. So anyway, Captain America, Brave New World, it was fun. Oh, one more thing. One of my favorite parts about this movie was the cinematography, and the movie had a film grain to it. It didn't look crisp, clear, like a video game with the visual effects. It actually had depth of field that was really nice. It's like somebody was like, you know what, we need to change the aesthetic of these movies and not make them look like video games so much. Let's make them look like 35 millimeter film, almost like a throwback. And I saw it on a PDX theater, which the PDX projection theaters are amazing, because they have so much light. Normally, like a projector has the light in the center, and as you go off to the sides, the corners and everything of the screen, it gets darker. But a PDX cinema has full digital projection all the way around. It's the amazing technology. And so they had to have purposely done a film grain on this movie to make it look like film and not like a digital video game. So I was very happy with that. Whoever the DP was, whoever, you know, picked the final look of the film. But again, I feel like it addressed a lot of my complaints with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and a lot of my complaints with Sam Wilson being a superhero but not having any superpowers. But if you look at him more like Tony Stark with his tech, then everything kind of makes a little bit more sense, especially with Wakanda and how he can use that every time he gets hit, he absorbs that energy, he can blast it back out. I enjoyed that. And the thing with the shield, it was magnetized, so he could throw it and it bounces off a bunch of stuff and then lands back on his back without a problem. They solved the problems I think people had with the character not having any superpowers. That's it. I hope you enjoy it. Check out Captain America: Brave New World. We'll see you on the next one.